Morning, everyone. Virgo Triad here. It is June 15th, 2018, and happy Friday to everyone. Can you believe that we are already halfway through the month of June? Unbelievable. Okay, you guys, today we're going to talk about something a little different just for a real short period of time here because I have some really interesting news for you guys, and I want to break it down in a way that makes everybody really think about what's happening here. Okay, so we're going to be talking about classifying personality disorders, and particularly we're going to be talking about cluster B antisocial personality disorders. Now, a lot of people misunderstand what a antisocial personality is, but in reality, antisocial personalities does not mean hiding away from people the way most people think. Antisocial personality is just another word or a fancy word or a new found word for psychopath or sociopath or highly narcissistic personalities to the point of being a malignant narcissist. Cluster B personality traits usually are defined as emotional, erratic, and most often are considered to be abusive personality traits. They prey on other people. Most scam artists, matter of fact, all scam artists that I have ever encountered would be classified as an antisocial narcissist at the very least. And most would, of course, fall over the line into the antisocial sociopath or psychopath for their lack of empathy and lack of concern for others, or the fact that they are doing these huge amounts of damages. But when we are dealing with sovereign citizens, and I know a lot of people really get upset with that word, sovereign citizen. That is actually a movement, and the funniest part about that movement is that movement was actually named after themselves. This was not a government name that was given to them. These people actually named themselves sovereign citizens in the very beginning. And as time went on, and of course as the FBI began to start bringing out the concept of domestic terrorism that comes along with the sovereign citizen movement, these people wanted to distance themselves from the name sovereign citizen. But when dealing with Southern Poverty Law Center, when dealing with the FBI or any law enforcement group that actually discusses these people, they are considered sovereign citizens and part of the sovereign citizen movement. And the reason behind that is because that's what they were originally classified as. All of the information that has gone out to the law enforcement groups has been under the name of sovereign citizens movement, and so therefore that is what they are classified as. Now, interestingly enough, one of the things that you're going to find with the majority of people that are extremists, particularly far-right extremists within this movement, the sovereign citizen movement, that is, are all fairly, they all fairly have similar traits, and those traits fall in line with the cluster B personality traits. I'm going to read a few of those traits to you quickly because when I get into the next segment of this video, I want for you to understand why these people literally seem batshit crazy, okay? So, sovereign citizens all tend to have delusions of grandeur. And you're going to find that those generally will boil over to things like them calling themselves judges, them calling themselves, their own personal attorney generals, them absolutely no reality to it at all, but in their fantasy world, they're governors, they're their own personal private attorney generals, they're their own judges. So delusions of grandeur. Megalomaniacs. It is absolutely part of this group that they are megalomaniacs. They absolutely just think that they are um, omnipotent. They feel that they are just because they're them, they feel that they are great. They feel they can say or do anything without repercussion of any sort. They have very, very poor sense of self-awareness. They have no idea. They have absolutely no idea who they really are. They virtually have no identity, or are very unaware of their own identity at least at best. False ego that runs absolutely amok, just runs amok. False ego cannot be happy or successful because they're disordered. They're so disordered, as a matter of fact, that that they attempt to try to do the same thing over and over and over again, year after year after year. They try it with court cases. They try it with dealing with opposition. They try it with running scams, and they're never successful. They always end up getting caught or having to go to court and losing, or ending up going to prison or something of this sort, because they continue to do the same thing over and over again and never become successful. As a result, they're not happy. Because they cannot be successful. And the whole basis behind this is they are disordered. They're disordered. They have this antisocial cluster B type personality that virtually no one wants to be around and no one wants to deal with. As such, they make for con artists that are not necessarily very successful for any length of time. Now, these are not stupid individuals, of course, but they lie, they manipulate, and it never really works for any length of time because a scam can only carry on for a short period of time. They have an internal rage due to narcissistic injury of people calling them out on a regular basis, especially those that can see through their antisocial issues, that they tend to rage, and then they abuse others that are around them. And of course, they lash out at those that are exposing them and demasking them for the frauds they really are. They live in a complete fantasy world. They're massively good dream weavers. They have an ideology that is just, I mean, unbelievable fantasy land most of the time. Most of the time, they are just in complete fantasy, unicorn, leprechaun land. Solutions never work out. They over and over again fail, as I mentioned. They have totally skewed realities. This omnipotent personality, false personality that they carry with their egos tends to just really, I mean, be overpowering, be completely overpowering to the point to where a lot of them think they're above and beyond any kind of authority figure and compare themselves at times even with a god. We have seen them compare themselves to popes. We've seen them compare themselves to the President of the United States. People that have worked hard to be in positions that they are actually in, they tend to make claims that they supersede those individuals. They cannot accept responsibility for any actions that they take. They do not know how to apologize or admit that they are wrong. They have magical thinking to the point that they believe their own bullshit most of the time. They sell dreams to others, crazy dreams. This TDA thing that went out there is something that, is a sales pitch. It is a pyramid scheme. It's something that, these people run rampant with. They know that people desire money and to get out of debt, and therefore they go ahead and they push this until they get caught, and then they go in hiding for a couple of years and come right back out with another form of it. A couple of years later, like I said, they do the same thing over and over again, even though it never works. They have no remorse, no empathy, most of the time, very little to no love for anything, with the exception, or even sometimes themselves, and they have no introspective at all. They are delusional, they lie to themselves, and they believe it. They are cult-like leaders, narcissists to the brink. They never change because it is always someone else's fault. They dig their own holes by punching above their weight class, trying to discredit anyone that calls them out and demasks them on their own lies, and they have shallow effect, robotic reaction, low impulse control, and as a result of that, no power overall. This just adds to the rage, and we go into a vicious circle. But they make huge mistakes because of this. And let me show you kind of what goes on behind the scenes. And this is why we're discussing this. This rage that goes on behind the scenes and this lack of impulse control is what creates this sort of a reaction when they begin to get exposed and begin to get concerned that their little group of lies is going to be unearthed. Okay, folks, take a look. Yep, you're reading it right. Owner and operator of Virgo Triad YouTube channel accused of attempted murder. Okay, I'm not going to go into reading this article. I am going to put it in the description so you guys can take a look at it. As it turns out, the video that is in this article is a very short video, and it was simply putting out there the Southern Poverty Law Center's Sovereign Citizen Hate Watch argument between Anna Von Reitz and the argument between her and John Folks. Now, John Folks, by the way, has a record. You can look him up online, and you will see that he has a record in Florida, and he is also 85 years old. But apparently this man, all on his own accord, got really, really upset because I read the Southern Poverty Law Center article, and I read at the same time that the Southern Poverty Law Center called them sovereign citizens. And as a result, me and me alone is being accused of attempted murder. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take you over and let you look at their arrest warrant. Okay, and here is their international arrest warrant, their file, their reference number, the government of the United States of America, Rural Route 1, Box 24, no state, no city, no zip code. John Harold Folks, PMA, the United States of America Global Postal Code. They're claiming it's a certified copy. It's against the owner and operator of Virgo Triad at this email address, in which, by the way, they did not bother to email to me, although it states in this arrest warrant and affidavit that I have 90 days till till I will be found guilty to respond. Basically, they're going to find me guilty if they don't hear from me, and they didn't bother to even send me a copy of it. Funny enough, this group of individuals, whomever they are, it appears that there are 3 people on this actual arrest warrant or document that it is being called an arrest warrant by these people. Kevin Floyd Lakes is one of the people. And of course, there is John Harold Folks. And then, of course, we have this party here, who is the notary or someone playing that role, Alice Sinceros. Okay, so what I am going to do at this point is link this in the description, because I want to go ahead and make sure that you guys have the opportunity to take a look at what I'm being accused of attempted murder for. Now, in a nutshell, as I said, I am being accused for the statement being made of sovereign citizen. Forget the fact that, I have freedom of speech supposedly and everything else. Nope, not in their world. And I supposedly will be getting due process before the hanging. Okay, so now remember me explaining to you guys that, cluster B personalities, they have an impulse problem. Well, these sovereign citizens have an impulse problem to the extreme that they didn't stop and think about anything other than leaving their address information off in terms of their city, state, and zip code. And never thought twice about issuing something that is so incredibly damaging to someone's personality and someone's persona online when you're dealing with businesses and this sort of thing, YouTube channels and that kind of thing. And I guess never assumed that that I would either find out, or they never planned on sending it to me, or if I did get it, maybe it would intimidate me in some way, so I would not view it as a ridiculous threat from irrelevant people and actually take it to the FBI, but they'd be wrong. And interestingly enough, 18 U.S. Code 912, the impersonation of an employee of the United States of America, and their claim of being the government of the United States issuing an arrest warrant for such a serious act, turns out to be something pretty serious to the FBI. Falsely impersonating a public officer and attempting to carry out any action by falsely representing themselves to harass by exercising authority of that person in some way. So in other words, because they are fake governors and claiming to be the government of the United States of America and fake judges and all these other things, and they've exercised authority by attempting to try to put out an arrest warrant for something like this, they actually are impersonating the public office of, or they are impersonating the employment of the United States of America, and they are exercising an authority over me, or attempting to, with this crazy arrest warrant. The consequences for just that alone, and there are many things that this violates, are up to 3 years in prison. It's a felony count for everyone who has a signature on this arrest warrant, in addition to $12,500 of a fine, or both. It includes everyone on the warrant, including the notary, or the person that's claiming to be the register. Let's see. And START, who is the study of terrorism and response to terrorism, has made statements here that this is considered paper terrorism. The FBI didn't seem to have any issue with the fact that it was considered paper terrorism, and was very interested in taking the information, in addition to all of the threats, 6 of them to be exact, that were sent overnight to my email inbox. I'm going to go ahead and leave this information in the description for you to take a look at. I wanted everybody to know about this so that you understand this right here is one of the reasons why I made the video yesterday about who is Virgo Triad. This is one of the reasons why these people that have made claims in my inbox that they plan to the very depths of their soul to make good on this arrest warrant. This is the reason why personal information is not put out there on the web. This is funny. This is funny from the standpoint of where I'm looking at it, but it's not funny when you start looking at the Parsons case, for example, where they're actually talking about on the phone And you can go over, I can link to you the description to the channel that has all of the Mikey Parsons information, and you can take a listen to the conversation that they had right there in the jailhouse between him, his wife, and someone else that was involved in the attempt to possibly or the scheme to possibly kidnap a sheriff and place him under arrest in their sovereign nation, quote unquote. Yeah, these people are crazy, delusional, and I, for one, will not put up with it. So we can laugh about it, and we will. But I'm passing this over to the FBI. I have passed it over to the FBI because it is something that cannot continue. In the event that we were to allow these type of individuals to gather enough momentum, this is the type of thing that they feel. As simple as me reading from the Southern Poverty Law Center a 3-minute video updating you guys on a bogus arrest warrant between Anna Von Reitz and this John Harold Folks, and me reading off the Sovereign Citizen Hate Watch website, something someone else wrote, is enough for them to claim attempted murder charge. Total and complete anarchy. You want to talk about tyrannical? No rights whatsoever. It's funny because they try to talk about love and light and all this other crap. And this is what reality is. They want to be able to rip everybody off, rape and pillage, and be in complete and total control of bullying and their psychopathic ridiculousness. They want to take away any kind of freedom of speech. They want to turn everything into a Armageddon type of scenario. These are anarchists. These are terrorists. Yes, they are. And I think everybody needs to take notice of it. We've got police officers that are getting killed. We have people that are hiding behind financial schemes, pyramid schemes, all having to do with the same type of ideology, the same type of mentality, and the same type of tyrannical belief structures. So, everyone, let me just close out in saying once again, this is nothing to be concerned about because this is not the way that our country works. The way that our country works is that we do have freedom of speech. The way that our country works is that we do have the right to protect ourselves. We do have the right to due process that would be, without the hanging involved. We can actually have a fair trial, not just due process prior to the hanging. We have the right to fight back for things like defamation of character. We have the right to cease and desist orders, and we have the right to make sure that when serious threats are made, action is taken by law enforcement. But most of all, we have the right to call people out when they do crazy things like this and call them exactly what they are. Low impulse control, cluster B, antisocial, narcissistic, sociopathic, no power having, sad, dysfunctional human beings. I hope everybody learned something today, particularly about Class B or Cluster B personality traits. I know it was very interesting looking this up for me. And I hope that the next time you run into somebody who literally does nothing but scam and prey on others and throw slime like this, that you remember the best thing to do with these people is to know that they're irrelevant and walk away. But make sure that before you do that, if anything's being done to attempt to try to smear your name, make sure that you take care of that. Everybody have a great day.